Welcome to the McKinley Diaries, 21 years on, with myself, Nigel Vardy, and we're now on day 3 of the trip, the 2nd of May, 1999. Once again, I had a torrid night, coughing and coming to terms with jet lag, and I threw a few tablets down early on to try and settle me down, which did work to a degree. I can always remember having this cough, and I was really quite concerned how it was going to affect me on the climb. I got up early and had the last shower, which many of us have done. I'm always a bit, cleanliness is next to godliness. So I got myself showered down, washed and done, and got myself in a position where I was as clean as I could be before they hit the mountain. And it says here, I wonder what I'll smell like when we come back. I put a fresh fleece on. Here it is, the actual fleece. Quite an old mountain equipment setup. It's still going strong. And we went down the ranger base in Talkeetna for an 8 o'clock briefing. The Alaskans are very serious about this. You don't just wander off onto the mountain, you actually have to go for a full briefing. And for weeks and months before, particularly Steve had been faxing information over to them. Bear in mind, email didn't really exist very much. It was coming along, but everything was done on paperwork with fax just to tell them who we were, our skills, our experiences, our kit. And the briefing was very professional. They were a very good bunch of people. They showed us lots of photographs of the route we were looking at. And the fact that we wanted to go up something called the Talkeetna Northeast Fork. I'll talk about this in a few days' time. And the fact that it had been avalanche prone and very avalanche prone for a number of years. And we were probably going to be some of the first teams up in over 2 or 3 years allowed into that area. And that felt really, really special. We left obviously more informed, but more apprehensive. I certainly did. And I say to myself here, apprehension is creeping in. Am I really up for this? Well, it's been a hell of a long way to find out now. How I might rue those words later in my life. We had another good breakfast, eggs, bacon, toast, and pint after pint of coffee. And they really know how to keep you fed up in this place. Picked up last of the gear and then decided this is the end of civilization as we know it for a while. I'll put a picture in. I've actually got a photograph of myself and Steve lying on the runway with masses of bags of kit. It's literally the length of 2 of us, you'll see in the photograph. And this was it. This was the moment where we were going to fly into the range. The little plane came, we loaded up the best we could. The issue we had was that it couldn't take all the weight, and the pilot, pretty useful, and the 3 of us, and we're big lads. And I had to actually get in the cockpit. Steve and Anthony had to get into the back. And the only reason I was put in the co-pilot seat was I was the tallest. I was told to touch nothing, play with nothing, put some headphones on, because it was going to be a loud journey, get your cameras ready, and away we went, tearing down the strip, this little tarmac strip in Talkeetna. And as I say, I don't travel very well. This plane was bouncing up and down like there was no tomorrow. But the journey was just amazing. We swept off the runway and were suddenly surrounded by forests of mile after mile after mile of pines, dusted with snow as if with icing sugar. Cloud obscured the summits of the mountains up ahead, but through the passes we flew through brought the ridges close at hand. And again, I've written down icing sugar everywhere on the frosted pines. After about 40 minutes of this deafening roar of this engine, we came across the actual base camp. We'd flown over the glaciers, up the main Talkeetna, did what felt to me like a very sharp right-hand turn, and approached the ice at, again, what I thought was breakneck speed. We skimmed across the top of the ice. The wheels had been left in their place, but skids or skis had been wound down to take their place. And we flew down the ice, rooster-tailing the ice and snow behind us, doing almost a handbrake turn at the end. The aircraft stopped, the door opened, and the temperature dropped 20 degrees instantly, and it took your lungs with it. This little figure, Annie, the local ranger, came bounding down the hill to greet us, screaming and shouting. And she lives here in a tent at 6 weeks at a time, just checking climbers in and out and running the camp. What a job. The site was surrounded by mountains, Mount Foraker being the most prominent there. And basically we had to sign in Again, as I said before, you don't just turn up at this place. The sun was very warm. We lugged our gear off out of the aircraft and got it into a position. The aircraft had some other climbers to go on. You don't waste your journeys here. And it was soon gone and silence returned. The other bags we had to leave behind were going to come in on the next flight, we were told. So we thought, well, we'll get checked in with Annie. Fuel and sleds are provided, or they were then, at base camp. So we got all those together, got prepared, and we waited and waited. An aircraft came in, an aircraft came out, and our 2 bags didn't. And still we waited. And we were hoping to get into the range that first day. We got an early start, but we had to take a decision to camp there for the night. We dug in deep and dug in well. And one thing you'll notice from some of the photographs is we dug the tents in every night and built an ice wall around them, purely for wind and weather protection. It's cold in a hole in the ice, but you don't take off. Now, I had an apprenticeship in the electricity industry, digging holes out of tarmac. So digging snow was a piece of cake. And what I did was did the first holes, obviously with Steve and Anthony helping me, of course, and we paced them out. And then we knew at every other camp, we just paced it out, dug the hole, put the tent in, and away we went. The bags did eventually turn up, and we got everything organised as much as we could. We left a bag at base camp with some food in, because you could be there for 3 days when you get back if the weather is bad, and started talking to some of the climbers around. There's an American crew, seem to be going on the same route, at least we'll have some company. Actually now there are 5 parties, ourselves, the Americans, 2 other groups, and an organised commercial party. We settled down about 9:30 that night, whiskey in hand, of course, did up the zips and tried to sleep.